Hi guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Deep Dive. Today I've got a very good friend of mine on the show, and we're going to be talking about his latest release. And this one has got everyone talking in the last week or so. It's only been out about a week, and it's called The Fall. But before we actually introduce Noel into the show, if it's your first time watching, or if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that notification bell. Remember, the Deep Dive, the aim is to get it out every single Sunday, to give you some Sunday viewing. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time we go live. So anyway, without further ado, let me introduce you to my good friend, Mr. Noel Qualter. Hello, Noel.
Hello,
how are you?
Hello. I'm all right. I'm good.
It's very early in the morning for you.
I've normally only ever seen this time by staying up all night and gone right through. But yeah, that is the kind of deep love and affection I have for you, that I would be up at a time I just thought that people made up when they said it. I didn't even think it was a real time. But it turns out it is.
When I was texting you and asked you if you wanted to do it, and you kindly said yes, you said what time? I said 10 o'clock. You said okay. And then I had to keep texting back going, AM, it's going to be in the morning, 10 o'clock.
Honestly, the things I would do for you, it's truly. I haven't had my breakfast yet. Yes, it's that's kind of love I've got for you. I'll do this.
Good man, thank you very much. So, Noel, The Fall. We're going to be looking at a trailer in a bit, and the trailer is fantastic. I saw it a couple of months ago, I suppose. You shared it with me, and it's really, really good. The effect is great. Now, you have been doing a version of this because you come to the shop every so often. I remember you showing me this in the shop years ago, and you were doing it in your lectures, or a version of it. So tell us a bit about the history of Fall, how it came about, and why it came about.
Sure. Well, how it came about, I used to do some nightclubs and things like that. Obviously, I haven't done any for a while because I'd look absolutely crazy in a nightclub. But a long time ago, probably 20 years ago, I did some gigs in some really loud places. So I wanted some material that would work for doing it in a very loud environment. So I came up with the forerunner of The Fall, which I did for quite a while until I sort of stopped doing nightclubs and loud environments. And then I started teaching that in my lectures, and it was a simplified version, and I did that for a while. But I've been doing it for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And then several years ago, I wanted to put together a couple of things about it. I thought, you know what, that can be improved. But I kept improving it. And finally, thought, you know what, I'm very happy with this now. And then that became The Fall, and now it's out, and everyone can see the work.
It's so, for a working magician, it's such a great effect. For a mix and mingle sort of situation, you've got that layout like the double deception, the coin routine, where you have two people holding the thing and then you've got someone else cupping their hands. If you're doing a mix and mingle, people are in little groups, and that's a perfect way to get people involved in this effect.
Hugely. So double deception was in my head when I started thinking about the blocking out for the whole thing, because you can do it. You can do it for one person if you want, but if you've got a group, that's my preferred thing. I think you can get certainly two people, one on each on the left side, two on the left side, two on the right side, and one person catching, and then you can also get a whole bunch of people and tell them to film. If you drop your business card, which is one of the things I talk about in the promo for it, even if someone doesn't tag you, if you put your business card also on the plastic, then if they film it and they film it from above and you encourage them to do so, then your contact details are in the shot the whole time, whether they tag you or not, and you'd hope that they'll share that with friends. But it's a great little visual moment that happens, even if you're doing it for a bunch of people. I think it will play for a group of 8 or 10 people, and there's not many walk around tricks that will play for that size of group.
So what you just said there, let me just clear this in my mind. So you could penetrate the business card and the card at the same time with the business card on top?
No,
You
I'm putting
couldn't.
the business card down there to say, look, nothing will go through this at all.
Right. Okay. So
I
they're
leave the business card
filming
in the
there.
top corner, and I'm saying, if you film directly from above, and I'll just leave this here, and I forget about it. It's almost like it's forgotten.
Yeah, it's just in shot. It's your logo on there. It's like your little watermark that's
exactly
always going to be in shot.
If you do it with a piece of acetate, which I talk about on the video, you can also print them. So you could print it with your actual logo, and then it doesn't look like you've just dropped the business card on top. So if you do it with a piece of acetate, you can roll up the piece of acetate. I've got one here, but it'll go down to a very small size. You can just pop that in your jacket. You can print that. You can print either your logo. You can write the company you're working for, and maybe a sort of rectangle where the card goes through. So it's customizable in that way.
Yeah, it honestly, mate, it as a working piece, it's just so visual. The impact will be so strong. I mean, I haven't performed it, but you know what the impact's going to be on an audience. This thing just going through that where they've examined it, it's like it's got that feeling of like doing a big stage illusion, but close up.
Yeah, it has. So what's rare, I think, I love, as a gigging magician, I love doing magic that happens in people's hands. We all do. That's where the impact is. But normally the trade-off is that it isn't visual. Hold on to this and now it becomes an omni deck, or hold on to this and all the coins across go across into your hands, or something like that. You don't see the moment. But this, I think, is in the small category of it's super visual, but then one person will genuinely experience a complete moment of astonishment when they feel it land in their hand. So you get sort of Instagram visuals and it lands in their hand. So you get that sort of that magic reaction as well. So yeah, it does play very well.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So we're going to talk more about the Fall in a moment. Just want to talk about some of your other creations as well, because for those that don't know, I mean, everyone must have heard the name Noel Qualter. You're an underground legend. But you have had, even with Alex Sam, you've had a couple of great tricks out. One of them we're working on re-releasing because it's been off the market for, for years, a lot of years. And it's mostly even more relevant now than it was then, with everyone collecting retro retro games consoles, retro music systems, everyone's sort of going back. So it's mostly more relevant now than it even was back then. And that was called the iDeck, which was a phenomenal trick. If you haven't seen it, guys, we're hoping to re-release it again this year. But that was there was a funny story even from our side with that, which was, when we purchased the rights of you, we couldn't afford to really make it because the gimmicks involved were quite expensive, which meant, I mean, we could afford to make it, but the retail price would have had to be so high because of the gimmicks. So we actually owned the rights for 3 years before it actually hit the market.
Oh, yeah.
Until the price of the technology come down. But that was a great creation of yours.
Yeah, I loved it. I always want to I think it's an important note for creators, but you want ideally the dream would be you'd come up with a trick that was that if anybody's seen it, they said, oh, there's only one person who could have come up with that. That's X. If you see a great worker trick where all of the things have been solved and maybe it's very smooth, you might think someone like Nick Einhorn might have come up with it, or whoever, or if it was completely zany and crazy, maybe Paul Harris came up with it. You want to be able to see a trick from a trailer and go, the only person who could have thought of that is that person. And iDeck, because it's hopefully fun. I think I certainly loved performing it, with funny lines in it, and it's also commercial. I think that's got a few of the beats of the tricks that I would come up with, which is a novel twist and commercial.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's such a great effect. But you've also had out Alarmed with us, which was a great effect. Really. And you had, what was the trick you had out a couple of years ago with the pen?
Bliss.
Bliss was great.
They're all loaded into Sharp system.
The thing is, what people don't realise, there are two types of creators, I suppose, in the magic industry. There's most probably more, but there's two main. There's people that create to sell. So there's people that create with the idea of, I'm creating this trick. The trick is to bring to market, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can create, but you are the opposite. You create for your own working repertoire, and then it's only when people bug you, like me, that you bring it to the market. Because IDEC was something that you were performing, which I saw you perform and bugged you for it. Bliss, I know you were performing. So you create these effects for your working repertoire. And sometimes it's like with Fall, we're talking most probably, 15 years from initial concept to you actually bringing that out.
Yeah, it is a long time. I'm by no means a prolific creator of magic because I want to solve all the problems. So something like Bliss, I was doing it with for my own gigs, and I had a 3D printed prop which worked fine because I was the only person using it and seeing it. But then when it comes to releasing it, I have to go through all of the tests and all of the costs and the product design of having it injection molded. All of these things take years and years and years to do. So when it starts as a concept with me gigging it, if I eventually have been nagged into thinking, maybe I will release this, for any magician to see it, I want to make sure that I've ironed out all of the concerns. Like I said, if you're just doing a trick for yourself, it doesn't matter if there's a bit of blue tack on the back.
You work around it, don't you?
Stickers rather than printing. Yeah. But when it comes to coming out to the community, because this is something that will exist for years, and people will say, "Oh, have you heard of Noel Qualter? He's the guy that did X, Y, and Z." I want all of those tricks. Oh yeah, I remember that, and feel excitement and passion for those things.
Yeah, 100%. And you are, I know because I've been a bit privy to this, but there is another product that you're working on at the moment, which once again is everything you release is a worker. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It is a worker. It's all quirky. And I think you're right. I think you made the comment about I want people to sort of go, oh, that must be a Noel Qualter trick. And everything you've released so far fits into that category. They're always quite quirky, but very clever methods. And this new one that you're bringing out, when are you hoping the release date for this? I know you're still in the early stages with.
I think the truth is we're probably Blackpool next year away from it, but because I want to make sure it's perfect. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
So Blackpool 24, yeah. Blackpool 24, yeah.
Blackpool 24.
So, keep an eye out.
Yeah, and it's great. It's really good. And when a creator is, some creators aren't performers. Some creators have got a great mind for creating, but no interest in performing. You are, a full-time performer. You're not a full-time creator. You create, like we said, for your own performances. But the good thing about being a performer, or at least having a group of friends that are performers, is that you can get the item road tested. And it's only when you road test an item that you start going, oh, that bit was a bit shabby. I need to sort that out.
You can do it in your bedroom, and that's fine. You can do it at the kitchen table. You can do it for wife or girlfriend or friends at the pub. Those tests, they're good and they're useful. But until you can do it 15, 20 times a night, well, it depends what the creation is. Not everything is designed for that purpose. But if it is designed to be a worker trick, you need to make sure it can be done, a bunch of times every night, with a quick or zero reset. Gets very strong reactions and is also different to everything else, because even though the fall is a card trick, quote unquote, a card trick, I don't think people will perceive it as that. I think they will say the trick, the penetration, the trick that fell through. In fact, on the trailer, you can see the woman saying, it fell through. It fell through onto my hands, and
Yeah.
that's the takeaway from people. That emotional connection. They're not saying, "Remember the trick where I chose the 4 of clubs and it was, turned over the deck." Great trick, but if this one is an emotional connection of I could see everything, I examined everything, everything was fair, and then under the impossible circumstances of it being transparent, the thing just fell through.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And the original inspiration, was it the card through window?
Yeah, it was. I loved card through window. I think any magician who's been gigging in this country for a while will, even though Blaine put that card through the window, 97? A long time ago. It's been shown a million times before. There was the adverts that ran in the UK as well, with him doing, I think it was a Peugeot car. There was lots of different things. Different magicians since have done card through window as well. It's one of those tricks that connects with people. And the truth is, you can't do it walk around. Once in a blue moon, you will see a clear glass table. Once you'll see, and magicians love the idea of doing it through that as well. That's also, just so rarely seen in the environments we're performing. There's plenty of windows, but of course, we know for card through window, no one really has cracked the perfect method, because the perfect method is somebody else helping.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, there have been versions out in the past, most of them pretty impractical, but this is a perfect close-up version of that effect, and people are involved. The fact is, they're holding this sheet, the other person's catching the card, and the beautiful thing is once that card's gone through, you can now step back. They're still holding that sheet. They've still got the card, and everything can now be examined. Everything's in their hands and can be examined. It's great. Well, I've got the trailer here. Shall we drop the trailer and then come back and have a little bit more of a chat about it?
Lovely.
Okay, let's take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the full trailer for Fool by Noel Qualter.
So I was doing some filming the other day when I got a message from Noel Qualter asking me if I could do a trailer.
Yo, Matt, can you do me a trailer?
What's it for, said I.
You remember David Blaine, the card through window?
Oh.
It's that, but for a walk around.
A walk around? Okay, send me the files.
Deal.
Let's have a look then, shall we?
Most magicians don't want to see the exact moment you're doing something sneaky, so they might
it's
use
not a window.
A table or a handkerchief or something like that. I'm going to show you the exact moment the magic's
pops
happening.
in the pocket. That's nice. So this walk around.
Corner's there for me for a moment.
Interesting.
Grab there for me for a moment. Perfect. Here's the
and
idea.
it's getting people
So
involved.
there's a
That's
magician
quite
called
cool.
David Blaine who years ago did an amazing trick where he took a deck of cards and had somebody choose a playing card.
Playing relevance.
And he threw the deck of cards at the window, and the card that they chose fell through the window. We're going to try
Right,
my
that's
version
definitely on top
on a
of the
budget.
window.
Put your hands underneath. On the count of 3. 1, 2.
Whoa! What the?
You did beautiful work. You can stand down. Thank you very much.
Hang on a minute. That went straight.
Nothing here. That's incredible.
It is incredible. Hang on a minute. Let me see that moment again.
2,
What the hell? Hang on a minute.
2.
That is the most. Right there.
3.
Wow.
Your card.
Let's have a look at some more. Wow.
Okay.
One, 2. And the card.
Your reaction is my face.
Oh. Oh, what the f*** is... Okay.
Mate, you've got to send me one of these right now.
Yeah, all right. What's your address?
I don't mean post it. Get someone on a plane.
All right, I'll send Tom.
Thanks, Tom. See you later.
Yo,
So what do you want to say on the video?
it's hyper visual.
That's true.
It's definitely very easy to do.
It is easy to do. I've just done it on the Wi-Fi. It worked a treat.
There's handmade gimmicks,
What's the reset on it?
5 seconds max. You can do it on social media, but I love doing it live.
How would you describe it?
The ultimate walk around car through window.
Brilliant. I'll get that on the trailer. Done.
Oh. Oh, what the... Okay.
It dropped! And I felt it drop. It fell through!
That is too cool. So, by the time everyone's watching this, I think the release date is tomorrow, is it? They'll be watching it.
Yeah, they can watch. Yeah, trailer dropped 20th, and then out on the 30th, I believe.
Oh, so they might be watching it 2 days after it's released, maybe. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's it. It will be hot. It will be in the shop, and it will be ready to send out to you. So, what do you get in the pack? I mean, obviously, don't tell us what gimmicks are, but are you ready to go out the pack?
Yeah, obviously go and watch the instructions, but you are other than that, apart from your time investment, small time investment, you've got everything to go straight away. So you can do it including the pack. I give you one of the grip seal bags, so you can which folds down to nothing. But if you want to do it with a piece of acetate, then they are pennies online. So I bought 1,000 for 10 quid. So
yeah. And I love the idea of getting them printed with your details. You can just run them through your printer, get them printed with your details on it, and you can leave them with the bit of acetate.
Yeah, of course. And do you know what? There's another thing you can do for weddings that works really, really well. Is if you, like I said, get a piece of acetate and run it through a home printer, which is dead easy. Get a rectangle on the piece of acetate that's the transparent area. You don't make it clear, but that's what you're saying, and that's where you're going to be putting the playing card. And as you go around a wedding or any event, but a wedding is really nice, you can also on the printer write Sue and Jerry's wedding day, 20th of November, 2023, on the piece of acetate, and then get people to sign the plastic. So they sign the piece of acetate, and at the end of the day, you can give them that piece of plastic. In the UK, the A4 is sort of standard size. But if you're doing it that way, you could have a bigger piece of plastic, and you just walk around with it, and you're not trying to hide the fact that you have a large piece of acetate.
Yeah.
Get to do it. And you could, in theory, do that in front of the bride and groom, everybody watching, because it plays very, very big.
Yeah. I mean, how nice would it be as a little wedding gift to do that and then have a cheap frame you've bought off?
Absolutely.
So and then frame it with a card in there as well. So you've got the thing, all the signatures around it, the card, your details printed on it. I mean, what a wonderful gift it will make for them.
£3 probably you could get, an A4 frame, a simple one, and put and it's all their signed, their memories from the day. You're right, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love the trick. I think it's it gets people involved, which I always think is the thing you have to do as a working magician, whether you're a pro or whether you're doing it down the pub. It's one of those perfect tricks, and I love the way you've blocked it out. You know, 2 people either side, the person in, that's 3 people involved straight away. The 4th person can pick the card if you want. That's 4 people involved.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got all of these moments. Also, it works really well as an opener, because if you walk over to them, you can immediately say, right, hi folks, I'm the magician. Can you hold on to this? You haven't given them any time for what the hell's going on. Can you hold on to this? At that point, you're getting to intrigue. So it takes, let's say, 15 seconds from hello to you're holding a piece of plastic. And then a few seconds later, a playing card that's chosen, which they can choose the card. I tend not to even do that. I just dribble through the cards and chuck a card out on the plastic, because it's not a picking a card trick. It's a story about when I watched Blaine do card through window. So then when from the start of the trick, you're at big intrigue with what the hell is happening here. We're holding a piece of plastic. They're committed to it, and then that magic moment happens, which burns their eyes. So when that happens, you've gone. So it works really, really well as an opener. You can put it anywhere you want.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. It's such a great effect. Is there anything you want to add to it before we wrap up this episode of the Deep Dive?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, I'm glad.
Go out and buy it. Go out and buy it. There's my hot tip. Go and buy the Fall.
I'm glad to see it's finally hit the market, because you showed me it in its finished state at a little convention we were at in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Is it Bournemouth? Yeah. And that was, last summer?
Yeah, last summer. So this was at, I was selling this at Blackpool last year on my own, and I just had to do the trailer, which obviously the reason why Matt got involved is because I hate filming trailers. It is that's a little exclusive, so I got Matt in to do the trailer. That's why it took an absolute age, but yeah, no, it was ready last year, but now finally, almost a year after it being completely finished, it's out.
Wow. Well, Matt's great as well. We've got him coming up on I think it might be the next episode, talking about his torn and restored card, which once again, phenomenal, great
really
effect.
Great.
But that's I think that might be next week's episode. But today is all about you, Mr. Qualter, and the fantastic Fall. So I just want to say, Noel, good luck with it. It's a great trick. I know how much love and thought and effort you've put into this release, as you do with all of your releases. And, I don't think people really understand when we say, oh, we worked on this for a long time. I mean, no one works on the trick as long as Noel Qualter. They literally don't. Like I said, when I remember seeing a version of this, maybe 8 years ago at the shop. It might not be what the finished item is now, but it was a version of this, and it's taken all this time for you to refine it, to get it where you want, to get it to a position that you go, okay, this is now ready for me. And it's very hard. It was the same when I was in years ago, I owned a recording studio, and I used to make records and stuff like that. And it's very hard to sort of go, okay, that's it. That's done now. Because you could just keep playing with it for years and years and years, and it will never finish. And you've got to know what your goals are. This is what it must do. It needs to be clean. It needs to be workable. It needs to be able to be done, 10 inches away from someone. And you just need to go down, tick those boxes, and once you've done it, you go, okay, it's ready. But you're the type of guy that just keeps going back to the drawing board.
You're actually right. No, it's certainly any creator. If you're creating something, set if you look around the magic market, you can't find the tool that you want. Say, okay, I need something that does X, Y, and Z. Here are my 5 golden rules that it has to do, and then don't settle for less. Only abandon one of those if you have exhausted all opportunities. If you can't make it done with, a signed card, or it can't be done 20 times a night. If that's one of your goals, if you've exhausted everything, then maybe you can abandon that condition. But try so hard to hit every conditions, because great conditions make great magic tricks.
Yeah, 100%. So I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you. Easy ones. Skill level. Not yours.
Yeah.
The trick.
Thank God. Brilliant. Skill level, beginner, you're going to have to put in, an hour and a half to get the hang of it. There's no sleight of hand, but you are, moving objects around. So you'll need familiarity. But yeah, a bit of practice and you'll be absolutely fine.
Okay. Angles.
Yeah, you're very, very well covered.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think probably don't want someone looking underneath, but other than that, you're very well covered.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, any normal angle in a working situation, you're covered.
Yeah, it's designed for walk around. And the only thing I would say is it's not for, so don't do it for people sat down at a table. So it's not a, if you're going around doing 10 tables at a gig, it's not the trick for that. It's the trick for the drinks reception. You're stood up, they're stood up. That's the parameters.
Yeah, and that makes sense anyway, because you want them holding it. You want the people involved. If people are involved, they're engaged. That's the thing. Absolutely. And then anyone that's ever worked, actually worked a gig will realise if you're just performing one-on-one, everyone else just starts talking. You'll have the few that are watching and enjoying it, but the rest of them will start chatting about what they had for dinner. You need as many people engaged in your routine, whatever it is, an ambitious card, whatever you're doing, you need to be speaking to everyone and get them all connected to the routine in one way or another. And this does that. In a mix and mingle setting, you're usually 4 or 5 people in a little group. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And my other quick fire question, I'm going to think of it now. I did write some down the other day, actually. Let me have a look. See if I've still got them. It weren't for you. I was going to ask everyone.
Right, well, while you do that, I'll pad and tell you. Another little thing is, if you are doing it a walk around thing, one of the things I use as a tool, if anyone's a little bit lively, got too much to say, not that they're difficult, but they're just, we'll just say, too enthusiastic because of what they've drank. If you give them, if you get them involved in the holding process, you've taken them out of commission. So I do that all the time. Someone's a little bit lively. Hi, I'd like you to do this. Your job is this. Don't screw it up. And they think, oh, I'm involved now. And honestly, it takes all of their energy away. They stop being the enthusiastic replier. So and trying to sort of slightly mess with the trick. Takes them out of commission. So hot tip for all of your magic: give the difficult guy a job.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. So my 4 very clever questions that I wrote down was, first question, what's the name of the trick? That was, I sat there and I thought about these questions and I even wrote them down. So
honestly, the fact that you've used ink on it, is
shows you how seriously I'm taking this. So
that's kind of what I'd expect from an old friend.
But the other questions we've covered, which was skill level, angles, and performing arena. We've covered all of those. So Noel, it just leaves me to say thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. It's a great trick. I know I know people are going to be doing it. It's one of those things, people are going to love it. They're going to do it. They're going to get great reactions from it. And I can't wait for your next one. I know what it is. You've told me about it. You've shown me the props. And that's something that I think I really want to do, because it's just a fun, quirky, great little effect that you can add into your act at any point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
well, thank you very much for having me.
you're more than welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the amazing Noel Qualter. So, thank you, Noel. We will speak again soon.
Cheers, Pay.
So, guys, thank you so much for watching the latest episode of the Deep Dive. Remember, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're hoping to go live with a deep dive every Sunday with a brand new effect, and later on down the line I'm going to start incorporating my old YouTube show called Hidden Treasures. That will be incorporated into the deep dive as well. I'll be taking a deep dive on one of the classics, classic effects of magic, stuff that I used to do sort of 20-25 years ago that were really big back then, but no one really talks about now. It's a shame they don't talk about them, but I'm going to change that by showing you some effects that you really need to look out for. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I will see you next week right here on the Deep Dive. See you then.